Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for recommendations on what manhwa to read, then here are some that I read recently that might be of interest. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa for today is I Killed the Main Player, a reincarnation manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 80 on. Its main character is Korin Loch, an extra from the game Heroic Legend of Arhan, an RPG game of sorts. Of course, this Korin Loch is someone who reincarnated into said character and has knowledge of the game. Due to his status as an extra though, he sought the true protagonist, and to his initial excitement, Park Si-hoo was an actual person who also reincarnated and had the player abilities. 3 years passed as they went through the events of the game, with Korin noticing some weirdness, like how there are no females in the party, even though the game does have them. Turns out, Si-hoo was quite the weirdly obsessive individual, and Korin is then imprisoned by him. Si-hoo continued the journey, but ended up losing to the big bad of the game, and so the world comes to an end. Korin, though, is sent back in time before he met Si-hoo, and so he takes care of the problem immediately, thus allowing him to start his own journey to save the world. The story is 8 out of 10. Reincarnation regression is certainly quite an immediate string of events to go through as an intro. Korin himself though will have to face this RPG world with a handicap, as the player powers did not get transferred to him. The best he got was that he became the sub-player. It will be difficult, but Korin is clearly prepared to take on these stacked odds. The characters are 9 out of 10. Greedy and good to a fault would be the easiest way to describe Korin. He showcases an initial impression of being an almost anti-hero, but is actually just a person who truly wants to reach the end, without all the sacrifices and evil stuff that Si-hoo initially did. The characters that are then affected by Korin's actions become those that support him and maybe just help him reach the end. The art is 8 out of 10. Some of the scenes shown will truly make you think twice about Korin's motivations. One entertaining note is Korin's Academy scenes where he becomes the Joker just puts a smile on my face. The additional fact that it's not just a one-off thing too, and it's potentially just some of the greatest comedic points for this manhwa for me. So if you're a fan of fantasy manhwa where the main character wants to truly reach the good ending with no sacrifices because he's just good to a fault, almost similar to the Extras Academy Survival Guide from my previous videos, then I Killed the Main Player would be good to start reading. This next manhwa to take a look at is The Perfect Contract, a romance manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 59 on. The protagonist of this story is Hong Ju-i, a quite pretty young lady with a modest background working as a pharmacist on the first floor of a big office building. In this same office building works Jun-won, the son of a major conglomerate who is constantly being set up on blind dates by his mother to try and force him to get married. Of course, he tries to wave everything off but is still bothered about it to this day. Ju-i, on the other hand, has a bunch of admirers but also turns them down constantly. However, lately, she's been having to deal with a stalker problem, and funnily enough, after some interesting interactions with Jun-won, both agree to get into a fake relationship, to the point of engagement to deal with each other's problems. On Ju-i's side, protection will help. On Jun-won's side, riddance of the annoyance of constant matchmaking definitely helps. With any romance manhwa though, you can clearly see where things go next, right? The story is 7 out of 10. The overall vibe and plot very much fits the modern romance genre to a pretty good tee. Nothing falls short or exceeds any particular expectations. I will say though, this is very reminiscent of something that would, could, or should end up being a K-drama adaptation someday. It just very much fits that vibe since the pacing seems to be adjusting very easily. The characters are 7 out of 10 as well. Ju-i and Jun-won's relationship, on the other hand, I find a little bit forced, and honestly could just be because of the K-drama-esque direction it's taking. While yes, I understand they are the main characters and some of the interactions do make sense, the transition from fake to real is just a little quick for my tastes, but that could be just me as well. The art is also 7 out of 10. Good character designs mixed with the adequate modern environments give the romance flavor you would expect from this genre of manhwa. Other than that though, it doesn't separate itself from the crowd, which could prove to be useful later on if it actually does end up getting adapted. So if you're a fan of modern romance manhwas and just wanted to add another one to your list, then The Perfect Contract would at least be worth considering picking up. Weapon Eating Bastard is the name of our next manhwa to take a look at. It's a regression manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 43 on. Lee Chol is the name of its main character. An illegitimate son of the esteemed Lee family, a martial arts family who is renowned throughout the modern fantasy world, Chol never really accomplished anything much in his life, only staying as a low-rank warrior after being chased out of the family after some time. Even this, though, wasn't enough. As he got older, assassins from the said family came looking for him to eliminate any loose threads. As he saw the end of his life, his next waking moment was when he was yet a young boy once again residing in the Lee household. This time, he won't just take things lying down, as he's awakened a new ability to absorb the memories of weapons. Interesting. With this, plus the realization that there were some in the family that would actually be a good support base for him, Chol starts his journey to fix this Lee family. The story is 8 out of 10. Treated like an outcast and then all of a sudden having an elimination order on you is quite the inevitable fate to have. Turning this to not just blind rage at the family, but trying to recognize those who are actually good versus the ones who are bad within it is something that I didn't expect Chol to actually approach his second life with. I guess he really does think that he can fix his family. The characters are 8 out of 10. And at least to that note, Chol seems to be correct to a certain degree. There is of course a power struggle happening within the family, of which there are members that were outcasts similar to himself that are actually friendly and will support him. The art is 7 out of 10. Martial arts and the comment around it is the basis of the art and direction of this manhwa. Mixed with a more modern environment, it actually leads to an interesting mix of fantasy, traditional, and modern aspects that make it a more uncommon but approachable manhwa to read through. So if you're a fan of regression manhwas where the main character wants to take revenge on family members that wished his undoing, but treat the good family members well, like I became a renowned family sword prodigy from my previous videos, then Weapon Eating Bastard may be something to look at. Our shorter story for this week is God Tier Extra's Ultimate Guide, a reincarnation manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 24 on. This title is a little special one, as this isn't the first time the story has come up in manhwa form. It was actually tried back in 2023, but was cancelled after about 65 chapters or so. The focus of this story is on Gilroshan Elro the Vault, the third prince of a kingdom in the game Godforsaken World, or GFW for short. Gilroshan's backstory is that he is supposed to be kidnapped and then used as a tool for evil purposes. This version of Gilroshan, of course, is aware that he reincarnated into said character in the intro, but is actually also familiar with GFW. With immediate action, he looks to at least get himself out of the current pickle he finds himself in, and starts to hatch a plan to maybe, just maybe, make it out of here alive and turn this game world on its head. The potential is 7 out of 10. When this story was tried in manhwa form originally, I actually did give it a whirl and personally didn't enjoy it. Seeing this rehash of it reminded me of Ranker's Return, which also had to get a reboot before it got successful. And at least for its credit, this version we're seeing now definitely has a better start to it. Let's hope it continues. The art is 8 out of 10. Because I've read that previous version, it's hard to keep my scores from being influenced and used as a comparison from said version. So at least from that, it is also a definite better impression. This more refined version of the art, almost resembling more modern action fantasy manhwas we see today, is looking to be a little bit more of a better fit for the story being told. So if you're a fan of following newer stories and are okay with another attempt of a cancelled manhwa from years past, then God Tier Extra's Ultimate Guide will at least be something to keep in mind. Another week, another highlight. For those unaware, this section of the video I update impressions for manhwa that I previously covered. Today's highlight is The Night Only Lives Today, which I've now read up to chapter 68 on. Info card and description will have links to my original opinion. Encrid, our foot soldier who has awakened some sort of constant regression power, is continuing his life one day at a time. From his humble beginnings as just the captain of a crazy squad to where he is now has been a result of a constant grim feedback. Clearly, Encrid's talent is just being able to accept the situation as it is and the willpower to just keep pushing through day after repeat day after repeat day. No matter how many todays it takes to crawl over the wall that he's facing, he just does so. What makes it even more enjoyable is that over time, he gets the attention of multiple people within his squad and the greater army, and so is actually able to practice skills that are being taught to him. Weirdly enough as well, it's able to recognize what information was required to be conveyed to the reader. Like the loops are slower in the beginning, but get fast-tracked and time-skipped a little bit as we get later on in the story so that it just doesn't constantly repeat for us as well. My previous scores for this manhwa were 9 out of 10 for potential and 8 out of 10 for art. The potential translates to a 9 out of 10 for story, as this manhwa has really shown its talent to be a slow burn title. It's able to keep my attention no matter what Encrit is doing, even if the pace itself is quite slow. Considering that we still have very little idea of what the greater world has to offer, we only know the events from the lens of Encrit and his surroundings. It truly has me invested in what's going on, which is hard to do given its limited scope. The characters, even more so, are translated to a 10 out of 10, as the initial chapters are not enough to justify how entertaining and enjoyable the relationships Encrit has, or more so develops, with the crazy squad and other notable members within the army. Considering that he has a pseudo-romantic relationship with the commander, increasing rapport with all his members who are just as interesting, smattering of experts in different forms, to even the walls he has to face, they're just so well thought out and given the time to be important in their own ways. The art goes up 2 points from 8 out of 10 to 10 out of 10, as honestly, it just completely captivated me past the initial stages of the story with its initial display. It's able to hook you in just from the art alone, and then somehow improve upon it from the conversations with Death to the various almost impossible situations that Encrit goes through. It still stands though. We're in the dark of what's supposed to be the story ending here. Honestly, at this point I don't care. I'm just enjoying it for the ride now. So if you want an introduction to action manhwas with a fair warning to its display of the brutality of war, then The Night Only Lives Today is definitely a heavy recommend from me to read. Would you agree or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts on this manhwa. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Write in the comment section down below what manhwa you've been reading and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.